Good evening, I'm Fahana Sheh and this is AWANI Tonight. Is the MySejahtera application still relevant to fight the pandemic? And in conjunction with Teachers' Day, we explore how teachers cope during COVID and what we can do to support them. That's coming up. More people are admitted to public health facilities as COVID cases spiked during Hari Raya celebrations. The number of COVID-19 patients last week had more than doubled, with local infections making up the bulk of the cases.
The number of COVID-19 patients doubled from 8,732 cases to 19,137 with 4 deaths reported. The number of severe cases listed as Category 1 and 2 also doubled, with 2 cases every 100,000 population. Despite that, the use of ICU beds and ventilators decreased by 10%. All states recorded a spike in cases during the period, with Labuan recording a 300% increase. This comes as the infectivity rate RT spiked by 70.2% from 0.57 to 0.97 the same week.
The Education Ministry is looking to improve several structures of the country's education system. Senior Education Minister Dato Dr. Razzie Jidin said among them is the provision of an application platform for scheduling and grading schools nationwide. Razzie said with the restructuring, transfer applications for teachers can also be made throughout the year, with up to 4 transfers a year based on their suitability of subjects and locations. Additionally, teachers can also teach other subjects apart from their qualifications for an added advantage when requesting for a transfer. Razzie said the database will also be his ministry's focus, as well as their development and well-being. Teaching has become more demanding as educators juggle online and offline learning. We speak to Samuel Isaiah, Program Director of Pemimpin GSL, an organisation focused on improving school leadership, to talk about how the teaching profession has evolved over the last 2 years.
We have seen generally how the teaching profession is a very demanding one, and especially during the 2 years of COVID, we have seen teachers adapt. We have seen teachers innovate. We have seen teachers go above and beyond, even way beyond what they have done before. And I think this is a true testament to the character of a teacher, the will of the teacher, the skills of a teacher, and most importantly, the heart of a teacher, willing to do the best they can to not just teach a subject, not just to complete a syllabus or curriculum, but to transform lives.
Samuel said teachers should be given more trust and autonomy to showcase their capabilities.
Main kind of support that we need to give teachers is to give them the trust. If you're a parent, speak to your teachers, speak to your child's teacher, ask them what you could do to help them out. If you're a school leader, if you're an administrator, attempt to give more autonomy to these teachers to come up with their own ideas. Because in fairness, right, a lot of teachers, they spend a lot of time with their kids in the classroom, right? And they usually know what's best. Give them the autonomy, but at the same time, don't forget to professionally develop them. I think one of the key learnings from the COVID-19 pandemic is that, like I mentioned earlier, how the education ecosystem has changed dramatically. But this also implies that teacher training, teacher professional development has to always evolve with time. Skills or techniques that were taught 20 years ago were probably not so relevant now.
Samuel's advice to all teachers is to always seek self-improvement.
So my message to all teachers is, if you lack skills, go get more skills, right? If you're really passionate about what you're doing, and if you really want to impact your students, go get more skills. If you have lots of skills and you can't find your passion, find it from your kids. I think in my story, my experience as an educator, the best inspiration, the best motivation is not teachers, but the students themselves. So find it, find your skill, find what you're good at, and also rekindle your passion for your kids.
Teachers are expected to be at the forefront of recovery as education systems emerge from the pandemic. Tonight on Consider This, we ask our guest about her innovative approach to education. That's coming up right after AWANI Tonight. Ever since the government lifted mandatory check-ins 2 weeks ago, the usage of the MySejahtera application has plunged by as much as 97%. Is the app still relevant to the pandemic fight? Malaysian Medical Association President Dr. Koh Kachai discusses how to put the app to better use.
Assuming that they have settled the issue of our ownership and settled the issue of our privacy and all that, and it's secure enough, I would say that this is an app which is going to be very useful if we were to move forward to reform our healthcare system. Because right now, when we move from healthcare facility to healthcare facility, whether you're in the private or in the public sector, there's no continuation of your records. It's only in your memory that you say, I've been seen by such and such a doctor, I'm on such and such a medication. And each doctor whom you approach will face difficulty in continuing your care. So this is what we want. So short of the country having a centralized electronic medical record,
Dr. Koh said the contact tracing feature in MySejahtera would also be useful for future pandemics. He however stressed the importance of regaining the public's trust in the app first.
Once trust is lost, it's not easy to regain it. And when I came up with my viewpoint earlier on, there were many who came up to me and questioned me as to how could I come up with my views on continuing the use of MySejahtera when there's so many issues at the back of it. So that's why I said, when in the beginning I said this is an idealistic viewpoint of mine. So in an ideal setting, I'm sure the app would serve its purpose very well. But with all the controversies surrounding it, if it can't be settled, I think we won't be able to get a buy-in from the public to continue the use of this app.
In other news, activist group Gerakan Media Merdeka or Geram has urged for a law to protect media practitioners when performing their duties. This is in light of a recent incident whereby 2 journalists were subjected to verbal intimidation from a security guard at the Pudu UTC Immigration Department. In a statement, the group said it is the responsibility of the media to comply with ethical principles in the field, including introducing themselves as journalists, withholding the identity of sources when necessary, and also to give the right of reply towards any allegations. However, any obstruction of the media in carrying out their duties, including physical or verbal aggression, should be treated as an offence and punishable. It added that in matters of public interest, the need to request permission from any parties should not be a mandatory first step before a journalist's coverage of an issue. Earlier, the police said no criminal element was found in the alleged harassment and assault case. OCPD Assistant Commissioner Nordilhan Yahya said the aggrieved party can take up the matter to the magistrate should they wish to pursue a civil suit. We'll continue after the break. Stay with us.
COVID-19 memperlihatkan kepada kita betapa pantasnya adaptasi teknologi di kalangan PKS kita. Niaga AWANI dan Unified Business akan menyelami perjalanan kebangkitan semula PKS kita melalui segmen Jiwa SME setiap Selasa dan Khamis untuk inspirasi anda.
Transformasikan perniagaan dengan Unified Business, rakan digital pilihan anda. Hubungi kami sekarang dan jimat hingga 50%. Jom Unified Business.
Welcome back. Sweden will send diplomats to Turkey to try to overcome Ankara's objections to its plan to join NATO. According to Defence Minister Peter Hultqvist, a formal decision to hand in an application is expected today. Sweden's ruling Social Democrats dropped their 73-year opposition to joining NATO on Sunday, abandoning decades of military non-alignment. Finland on Sunday also confirmed it would apply to join the military alliance. However, Turkey surprised its NATO allies by saying it would not view applications by Finland and Sweden positively. NATO accession for a new member state requires consensus approval from all existing members. Meanwhile, Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybkov said Finland and Sweden should have no illusions that Moscow will simply put up with their joining NATO, calling the move a mistake that would have far-reaching consequences. Once considered neutral countries, some living in Finland and Sweden see joining NATO as the only viable option to protect themselves from Russian President Vladimir Putin's violence and unpredictability. In the Finnish town of Lappeenranta, situated just 30 kilometers from Russia, those living there could not feel more distant from its neighbor despite its geographical proximity.
That is why we are joining NATO. Yeah, that's the reason.
Why?
Because we need more power, you see. Russia is a country that respects only power, nothing else. A power needs a counterpower. Now we will have it with NATO.
Finland shares a 1,300-kilometer border with Russia, from the Baltic Sea to the Arctic. For decades, the two nations have enjoyed peaceful relations, founded on Finland's post-World War II policy of neutrality and non-alignment. But this simple border could soon become a frontier between East and West. Shanghai set out plans for a return to more normal life from June 1st. Deputy Mayor Zhong Ming gave the clearest timetable yet to the end of a painful COVID-19 lockdown that has lasted more than 6 weeks and contributed to a sharp economic slowdown. Zhong Ming, in a daily press conference, said Shanghai's reopening would be carried out in stages, with movement curbs largely to remain in place until May 21st to prevent a rebound in infections before gradual easing. She also declared that 15 of its 16 districts had eliminated cases outside quarantine areas. This is a key condition for resuming normal life under China's strict zero-COVID policy. The city plans to gradually increase domestic flights and rail services, and from Monday will begin reopening supermarkets, convenience stores and pharmacies. Shanghai's lockdown, along with COVID-19 curbs in numerous other Chinese cities, have battered the world's second-largest economy and disrupted global supply chains. South Korea will spare no effort to help North Korea as it battles a COVID-19 outbreak. Newly elected President Yoon Suk-yeol vowed to remain open to humanitarian aid for the neighboring country without political or military consideration. Yoon, in his budget speech, said South Korea will send unlimited aid to the North if requested, including vaccine doses, health workers and medical equipment. On Sunday, North Korea confirmed 15 more deaths, while over 1 million people have now been sickened by what Pyongyang is calling a fever. The latest figures came as leader Kim Jong-un blasted officials over delays in medicine deliveries and ordered his military to get involved in the pandemic response in the capital, Pyongyang. North Korea had maintained a widely disputed claim that it's been COVID-free for more than 2 years until last week. A nationwide lockdown is in place in the reclusive country. Iraqis woke up to another thick sandstorm that blanketed the capital Baghdad and other provinces. This is the 6th sandstorm to engulf Iraq in about a month.
Some schools were forced to shut while Baghdad airport suspended flights as visibility was reduced to just 300 meters. Hundreds of people across the capital and southern cities went to hospitals with breathing difficulties. Iraq is prone to seasonal sandstorms, but experts are raising alarm over their frequency in recent years, which they say is exacerbated by record low rainfall and climate change.
Stargazers were treated to a stunning sight of a rare super blood moon in the early hours of Monday, after the Sun, Earth and Moon form a straight line in the night sky. The eclipse, which lasted for about an hour and a half, was visible in much of Africa, Europe, South America and most of North America.
Lunar eclipses are sometimes called blood moon as it appears brick red when it falls into the Earth's shadow. The effect is caused by the Earth's atmosphere bending some of the sun's light towards the moon. The lunar eclipse also coincided with a separate event, a supermoon. This is when the moon is at its closest point to Earth in its orbit and so appears larger than usual. About 2 lunar eclipses occur each year, and the next will be a total lunar eclipse in November. According to NASA, there will not be another total lunar eclipse until March 2025.
That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Farhana Sheikh. Thank you for watching.